Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk Live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Grillen MF Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio. We are awaiting possibly Dee Dee Woodson. We don't know if we're going to get her tonight or not. If we do, great. If we don't, then we'll wait and see how this plays out, to say the very least. So, with that said, we started off with the first thing of the evening on SmackDown Live, as it was Roman Reigns and the Usos interrupted by Seth Rollins. This was over the fact that they were putting over Roman Reigns, that now has over a 508-day reign as the Universal Champion in WWE. He broke the record, the longest reign as Universal Champion in the history of the title. Remarkable feat. But Seth Rollins came out, interrupted Roman, and yeah, this was incredible. I mean, I think the body of work was very good, very hard, very strong. I like it. The fire that they brought, this adds another element to what undoubtedly could be a hell of a match at the Royal Rumble event. The premiere event on Peacock that goes down 1 week from tomorrow night. Next week is Royal Rumble week right here on the Wrestling Forum, and we will preview the Royal Rumble 1 week from tonight. Programming note for all you fine folks out there, and let me say it, Bridgestone Arena in Nashville acknowledged Roman Reigns, but Rollins had other plans as the architect laid out his groundwork to possibly try to lower the Universal title back to Monday Night Raw. We'll see how it plays out. Anthony Florio, come on in. Good way to start the show. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins. Yes, we had a Kevin Owens sighting, but ultimately, when it was all said and done, the two men who's going to be battling out for the Universal title, man, they left us with the segment of the night.
Indeed, they did. The revelation of Kevin Owens as Seth Rollins' tag team partner makes sense beyond their recent friendship on Monday nights, in that it was this time last year. Let's not forget, it was this time last year that Kevin Owens was the number one challenger to Roman Reigns in the Universal Championship and was repeatedly cost that title by the Usos and, at the time, the special counsel, Paul Heyman. The video package highlighting Reigns' run was fantastic. The back and forth between him and Rollins was much better than last week's uninspired showdown, and the segment set up a big-time main event for later in the show. You cannot ask for more than that from one of these opening promo segments. High-stakes main event. The Usos versus Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. If Rollins and KO win, the Usos are barred from ringside for that huge match at the Royal Rumble with Rollins and Reigns for the Universal Championship. If the Usos win, then the Universal title match between Reigns and Rollins at the Rumble is off. So, high stakes. That's all there is to it. So, 100% agree, MF. This was the segment of the night. No doubt about that. So, with that said, let's move on to our first match of the night from the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee.
And it was Kofi Kingston going up against Madcap Moss. We were a little annoyed about what happened last week. No annoyment here tonight. Kofi Kingston gets the win back, wins the match as he rightfully should have done last week in 7 minutes and 40 seconds. Anthony, all is right with the world. Kofi bounces back from an embarrassing defeat last week.
That he did, MF. That he did. And I'll give it 2.25, 2.5 for the effort. It was perfectly acceptable wrestling, but nothing more or less. It was a match that happened, one that kept all four competitors on screen and doing something, but did little to advance any storyline or provide any real hype for the upcoming Men's Royal Rumble match. It simply was. that is hardly a positive for a segment of television that involved two former WWE champions and a performer in Corbin, who has been a high-profile competitor on SmackDown for years now. You don't know what I mean? We had another visitor from Monday Night Raw. You already had Seth Rollins. You already had Kevin Owens. How about a little Big E for you? Big E coming back to SmackDown for a night. And, well, actually, it'll be 2 nights because next week, Big E and Kofi are going to team up against Corbin and Moss. So there's a tag team match for next week for the go-home show in Kansas City. And that's really all there is to say on that. Yes, Kofi gets the win back. All is right. Praise the Lord. So help me if he had lost again. I really would have gone off. But with Big E around, that was not going to happen on Big E's watch. No way. So I'll be generous. I'll give it 2.5 stars for the effort. So solid, not overly spectacular match. Not much more to say. MF, your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. Solid, not overly spectacular. A solid 2 stars, but I'm happy Kofi got the win back, man. Because that was embarrassing, man. We were fuming. We were mad. We were angry. We were annoyed. How on earth does Madcap Moss beat a guy like Kofi Kingston? I mean, were you stunning his growth and the whole 9 yards? No. Mm-hmm. It's just Kofi gets the win back. So we're like, all right, cool. You know, like to see this. Obviously, they want to continue this storyline with Madcap and Happy Corbin. Now Kofi doesn't have his running buddy Xavier Woods or King Woods. The King is in his castle and he's going to be there for at least 6 to 8 weeks. Unfortunately, he suffered an injury, so he's out of action for a little bit. So who do you bring? Why not bring the New Day brethren? Bring back his old buddy, former WWE champion Big E. There's still the stable. There's still a brotherhood. Obviously, chivalry is not dead after all. And I'm cool with it. I think it's a solid segment. So, yeah, this was an all right match. Nothing more to say. So, next up we had was Aaliyah versus Natalya rematch. Obviously, this stems back from the shocking upset and the quickest pinfall in WWE history with 3.17 seconds. Well, the match was longer than 3 seconds this time around, fortunately, but 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Aaliyah wins the match by disqualification. Basically, Natalya backs Aaliyah up into a corner, starts to put the boots to her, and referee got to the 5 count, got past the 5, telling Natalya to get off, stop, break up. Natalya refuses, nothing to do. Bell time. Ring the bell. The fight's over. Aaliyah wins by DQ. But the beatdown continued until Xia Li came out and jumped at Natalya, getting her some retribution on her. This was interesting. All right. Obviously, we're not going to rate the match because there's really nothing to rate about. Aaliyah gets another win. Yay. She beats Natalya again, this time by DQ. So you kind of are starting to feel like they're trying to make her as a sympathetic figure. She's definitely the underdog. But then Natalya being very ruthless and very careless with the rules. A ring-savvy veteran like Natalya would know the rules better. You break on 4, you don't go to 5, or you risk being disqualified. But she got a little hot-headed, went Bret Hart 97 on us, and got disqualified in the process. Xia Li comes out. Now this is going to be interesting because Xia Li versus Natalya, that has the makings of an interesting storyline because Xia Li also made a big impact a couple of weeks ago. So all of a sudden, Natalya, she's trying to be the rough and tough veteran. Yeah, all of a sudden, some new blood starting to seep through on the blue brand. Aaliyah last week, Now Xia Li shows up. Anthony Florio, it looks like the women's division is getting a little piping hot, especially on the mid card. We don't have to talk about the match because I think we can pretty much toss this aside. But Xia Li shows up. You already know she's a star in the making, no doubts in my mind.
Well, I never like having to do this, but I have to unfortunately go Jesse mode on this. Unfortunately, another week, another instance of Aaliyah looking incredibly lucky to be in WWE. I love her. Don't get me wrong, I love her, but not only, and here's the reason why. Not only did she disappear from television for months, when she did pop back up, she has been overwhelmed and outmatched by an aggressive Natalia. Only due to a fluke roll-up and a disqualification does she have 2 wins. She has not been presented as on the level of her opponent either time and needed Xia Li, who at one time in NXT, oh, by the way, broke her nose, we all remember that, to come to her rescue. The same Xia Li that made an explosive debut of her own a month or 2 ago, then just like Aaliyah, disappeared from television. None of this hit, and worse yet, no one looked any better for it. No one looked better for any of it, rather. The only reason why I'm not really poo-pooing on this, like MF said, the idea of a Xia Li versus Natalia feud, which I believe and we believe could and will produce some fun in-ring action. That's the only reason why I'm holding back here. But yeah, because the match was again, even though it was a little longer. But now I love my bougie queen from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I do. Hard eye emoji every time I see her, but I just haven't liked the way that she's been being presented. So, but I know in due time, maybe just maybe they'll find a way to make it work. But I don't know. NA for the match, obviously, a no rating like MF said. But MF, the only reason why I'm holding back from going ultimate Jesse mode, you said it. Xia Li versus Natalia, that could and will produce some fun in-ring action when they do meet. I believe it.
All right, next up we had the Viking Raiders. They went up against Los Lotharios. Viking Raiders wins the match in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Obviously, this is for them. They're getting their push towards the Smackdown Tag Team title shot. So obviously, you're gonna want to make them look strong. I don't think there's really anything to talk about on this one, Anthony. So we're just gonna move right on along. Next up, we had was a non-title match: Charlotte Flair versus Naomi. Charlotte Flair wins the match in 2 minutes and 25 seconds. But you can obviously see there was more chicanery here. Sonia Deville sticking her nose where it didn't belong. This time being the, I guess, referee for the match. Charlotte got the figure 8 immediately right in, and Sonia called for the bell. Almost immediately calls for the bell. So Naomi had no chance of winning this one at all. However, Eric Bischoff in a backstage segment called out Sonya for that. And basically, next week, it's happening. Sonya Deville versus Naomi 1-on-1. And I don't think there's going to be any type of screwiness or anything else like that. Because I believe Bischoff challenged her to have a legit match, a legit 1-on-1, Anthony, if I remember correctly. Can you clarify that?
Clarify that we're gonna
Bischoff.
Bischoff was there. It was a backstage segment, but it was Adam Pearce who made the match. He said that I'm gonna suggest it to upper management for you and Naomi to have a match, and I got to see if that. I'm almost certain it is confirmed. So I'm pretty sure it's got to be confirmed for the go home show next week. And Now, let me see. Just checking the social media. Oh yeah, it's official because as of 38 minutes ago, um, we will see Naomi and Sonya. It is an official match. So, but like I always say, I'll believe it when I see it. When it comes to no chicanery, I mean,
But I'm pretty sure with Adam Pearce being out there, I kind of feel like he's probably going to want this to be a legit fight. I mean, if it was any other person, I'd be a little bit on a little bit of a fishy look. But I think because it's Adam Pearce and because it was suggested by Eric and because Bischoff is there, I don't think you're going to get a lot of chicanery on this one. I think we're finally going to get a legit fight out of this.
I hope so.
I think so.
I'll believe it when I see it. That's me. But reason I say that is because this feud has run since September. So the idea that WWE officials would just suddenly be reprimanded, as Michael Cole called for, makes little sense. The latter has been routinely abusing her power, so thinking that anyone in Connecticut would finally step in isn't logical. Nor is the idea of this feud running too much longer. We get it. Sonia Deville doesn't like Naomi and will stop at nothing to prevent her from achieving her goals. Dragging it on is only going to lessen the inevitable impact of the moment Naomi kicks Sonia's ass and pays the thing off. Hopefully that moment is coming sooner rather than later, because I believe WrestleMania 38 might be too late. Just saying. All yours, MF.
And with a lot of people believing that maybe Naomi as one of the favorites to win the Royal Rumble too. I've been hearing some water cooler stuff about maybe Naomi possibly winning the Royal Rumble and going after Charlotte for the SmackDown Women's title.
I'm going to make a bold prediction right here and right now. I know I'm a week early, but I don't care. I'll reiterate it next week. I believe, you remember last year, 2 years ago. You remember when Brock Lesnar was the WWE champion? He was in the Royal Rumble match. Drew McIntyre eliminated him. Drew went on to win the Rumble and then went on to take the title from Lesnar. Could we be on the verge of the same thing with Naomi? I think Naomi is going to eliminate Charlotte from the Rumble, maybe win it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's very realistic. It would definitely pay off the hashtag Naomi deserves better. Oh, if winning the Rumble is not better, tell me what.
Think about this: you win the Royal Rumble, you're guaranteed a main event on night one of WrestleMania. Remember, it's a 2-night event, but the women main event in night one last year.
Absolutely,
and I'm pretty sure they will main event this year,
as they should.
So honestly, in my opinion, if she wins the Royal Rumble, she's main eventing night one at Arlington.
And if that is the case, I'm going to call for it. I think she's going to shock the world. I think she will defeat Charlotte Flair and walk out of Jerry World as the new SmackDown Women's Champion. I believe it.
I concur with it. So all right. So after that, we had Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville, a little promo segment there. Then after that, we had Ricochet going one-on-one with Sheamus. Rich Holland is back. Sheamus wins the match, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Don't really need to get into that. Leads us to the main event of the evening, a tag team match. It was the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins wins the match in 15 minutes because via disqualification, because Roman Reigns dropped the Superman punch on Seth Rollins. Roman, you just barred the Usos from your title match at the Royal Rumble. You lost your safety net. Now it's 1-on-1. Anthony Florio. Oh boy. St. Louis This just got very interesting now.
You better believe it. Oh my. Well, I'll say it like this. Bullock's not here. So you know what
Yeah.
that means. Since Bullock's not here, we don't have to we are certainly not going to give this an NA rating.
Oh, heck no.
Sorry, Bullock. I know how much you take the NA rules seriously, and we admire you for that. We respect you for that. But with all due respect, not on this match. This was the fight of the night. I'm gonna give this 3 3/4 to 4 stars. And I know we always frown upon disqualification finishes like 99.99% of the time. But this is that very rare instance, MF, where I'm actually okay with it. And here's why. Roman Reigns so cannot tolerate losing that he would rather cause the disqualification on his own than risk Jimmy and Jay dropping the match to Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins outright. That is a great touch by WWE Creative, and one of those little things that adds to the Tribal Chief persona. The match itself was fantastic, though we should not have expected anything different from the talent involved. A red-hot, high-energy main event that highlighted Seth Rollins as a babyface. This was the sort of match this broadcast needed. It elevated it exponentially, enhancing its quality in a big way. Most surprising was the crowd's acceptance as Rollins in his new role, singing his theme music as he prepared to put the match away. If he and WWE Creative can maintain those sort of reactions, there is a very real argument to be made for a sustained babyface turn beyond the Royal Rumble. And ditto for Kevin Owens, who fans very clearly still want to cheer, despite his heel turn a couple months ago. So there isn't really much more to say on this. Fight of the night, 3 3/4 to 4 stars. And MF, one of the very rare times that a DQ finish actually worked. Wow.
DQ finish not only just actually worked, but it made us feel like, oh my God, let's go. It was a great match. It was a great battle. The main event was lit. The crowd was into it. And this is one of those rare times that WWE got it right. For all the negativity, for all the garbage, for all the naysayers. And there's a lot of naysayers nowadays that wants to pile on WWE for anything that's wrong with the company. And this is one of those times where they got it right. Applaud yourselves, WWE. You did something right. Rollins looks like a star. I actually don't mind this type of Seth Rollins. You can tween him either way, and he's going to be so good. But I think the other thing that makes Rollins such a believable babyface and why it's working is because Roman Reigns is so hated. He the Tribal Chief, the head of the table, and just Roman Reigns just being such a wonderful heel. Why was he not a heel all those years ago? I don't know why. WWE knew. I don't think they realized what type of gold mine they had until they turned him. And now they realize, oh my God, we should have turned him a long time ago. So I think it was just because Vince was just so like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I want to push him as a baby face. But that's the thing. Certain guys are meant to be heels. Certain guys, when you push guys down our throats and we reject them, it's not that we're rejecting them because that's the WWE machine. We do not like to be forced down people, whatever. When you start forcing us to appreciate a guy, saying, hey, he's a fan favorite, cheer him. No. You knew this was Attitude Era. You knew this was Ruthless Aggression Era. You knew that some fans go bizarro. But the thing is that you actually took the chance. And basically he was like, you know what? All right. You wanted Roman as a heel? Now he's a heel. And by far, 2020 was his best year yet. And 2021, I'm gonna say it. And now 2020 was a great year for him. 2021, in all intended purposes, other than maybe some of those, whatever you want to call them, many people are calling Roman Reigns the wrestler of the year last year in 2021. We all agreed that Roman Reigns was wrestler of the year. There was no debate. Roman was the guy. And now 2022, and he's picking up right where he left off. He is, without a doubt, the biggest star in WWE today, and there's nobody that comes remotely close to him. Rollins is probably the only other person who literally could be the Roman Slayer. If he does at the Royal Rumble, do you know the magnitude of his victory and what that could mean? If Seth Rollins upends Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble, oh my goodness. It'd be a monumental moment. But, like I said, I digress. There's really nothing more to add, guys. So, overall review, it was a little bit of an up and down, a Smackdown. I will say the main event saved it from being a below average show. So I'll give this maybe a 6 out of 10, and I'm going to be very generous. Opening segment was fine. There was, the match, the tag match in the main event spot was amazing, and that was the fight of the night, and we did say it was 4. So, and it really saved the show from it being a disaster. So 6 out of 10 for me, Anthony. It's yours, and then we'll get into AEW.
Excuse me. I don't know. I think 6. I think 6 might be a little bit reaching, if I'm being honest. I do agree with you that the main event saved this from being a train wreck of a show, as well as the opening segment. I mean, I hate to say this, MF, but it kind of had the feel of an NXT 2.0 like show. I mean, the opening segment was great. The main event was great. Everything in between, nah. I'll give it about 5 out of 10, to be honest. I mean, the Madcap Kofi match was all right. I mean, we had too many short matches, but we did have, some surprise appearances. The Raw guys, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Big E. We also had an appearance from Eric Bischoff, and we also had an appearance from another Hall of Famer, Nashville, Tennessee's own Double J, Jeff Jarrett, and in a backstage segment with the Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs. So that was pretty interesting. But 5.5. I think that's the correct rating for this. It was not the best show. I mean, it kind of felt like a marathon show, to be honest with you. You had to get through a lot of meh stuff to get to the good stuff, and at least the good stuff was worth it. So if not for the good stuff, this would have been, the rating would have been a lot worse. But 6 is a reach for me. 5.5. I think that's the correct rating. So with that being said, MF, we'll see you about next week, and the go home show in Kansas City, and we'll see Naomi and Sonia. We'll see what happens with that. And then we got Big E and Kofi against Corbin and Moss. So we'll see what else happens. So we'll see. So 5.5 for me. And let's move on to a very rare live AEW Rampage. Not a tape show for a change. I love it.
Yeah, live. And we started off with the first match of the evening, Jon Moxley versus Ethan Page. Moxley wins the match in 10 minutes and 15 seconds. It was all right. It was a solid match. 3.5 stars for me. Mox definitely looked like there was a little bit of ring rust, not a lot, but little rust. But he did look good in the winning effort. But if you notice, after the match, Moxley was leaving. Guess who was there to say hello? Bryan Danielson.
Woo.
Oh, wait just a minute.
Let's go.
Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley?
Yes,
one-on-one?
Yes, please.
AEW, for the first time ever, shut up and take my money. That's all I'll say. You know I never do that for AEW.
If they save it for the pay-per-view.
Huh?
If they save that for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, if they say that for the pay-per-view, shut up and take the money. If it's not, then, well, that's one way to get the butts in the seats and the eyes on the screen. Let these two boys fight out on Dynamite on TBS. Yep. Yeah, you'll get your million viewers again easily. So, holy cow, man! I'm just salivating over the thought. Moxley versus Danielson one-on-one.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Anthony. It's yours.
10 minutes or so, MF. That's what you said.
10-15.
10-15. All right. 3 to 3.25 for me. I agree that Mox had a little ring rust, but despite that, him and Jon Moxley and Ethan Page put on a competitive and physical match. AEW could have given Moxley a quick win over a lower card talent for his return, but that's not who Moxley is or who his character is. He is the kind of guy who would want to have the most challenging fight right away. Ethan Page was a great opponent to work with him because he always understands the assignment. He is capable of looking good and making his opponent look good at the same time, which is a rare quality in this business. Now, we've seen Danielson and Moxley before when they were in the WWE as Daniel Bryan and Dean Ambrose, and they tore the house down on many occasions. This time around, with these edgier personas, keep in mind, those were PG personas. These are not PG personas anymore. These are in-your-face, smash-mouth guys now. You put them together, whether it's on, well, it's certainly not going to be on Dark or Dark Elevation. No way. Way too big for that. And it's not even going to be on a Rampage either. It's either going to be on a future Dynamite or maybe, just maybe, Sunday, March 6th. Revolution. The first AEW pay-per-view of 2022 from Orlando, Florida. So, whenever they do it, with that tease tonight, it's definitely going to happen. The only question is when. I say it's either a future Dynamite or the latest possible date would be March 6th at the Revolution pay-per-view. So, and this was the match we were I think this was originally supposed to be the plan for, this was supposed to be the plan for the tournament final at the Full Gear event back in November. And they were clearly positioning Jon Moxley for a heel turn. But then that whole alcohol rehab thing happened and obviously changed the plans. And I think Danielson got Moxley's spot. I think Moxley would have gone over in that. And I think Moxley would have gone after Hangman. And that could have been some fun stuff there. But maybe it was a blessing in disguise that Danielson actually ended up getting it. And what happened to Moxley happened. I mean, because look what happened with Danielson and Hangman. We ended up getting one bona fide 5-star classic, the other almost a 5-star, but not quite. But these two definitely have 5 stars in them. So not much more to say. 3.25 for this, but MF, whether it's on the Dynamite or at the Revolution pay-per-view, whenever it happens, I would be surprised if it's not a 5-star classic because we know what these two are capable of. They're not PG anymore, boy. Oh, no. They're smash mouth and in your face as it gets.
Mm-hmm. Next up we have was Tremberetto versus Nick Jackson. Tremberetto wins the match in 13 minutes and 45 seconds. Now, all right. Now, a lot of people is like, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why is it a solo match? Wasn't there supposed to be Roppongi 3K, Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks? What happened? All right, here's what happened. Michael Bullock of the Wrestling Forum announced to us earlier today that Rocky Romero from Roppongi Vice got COVID-19. Obviously, we lost the match, but they decided to go with the singles match. One member of the Young Bucks versus one member of Roppongi Vice, and they did Trent versus Nick Jackson, and that's how that happened. So now, maybe in about a couple of weeks, depending on the health of Rocky Romero, I think it's like 10 days now that Rocky has to sit out. So we might have to wait 2 weeks for Roppongi Vice versus the Young Bucks, or we might not even get this ever now. Who knows? But Anthony Florio, it's yours. Tremberetto gets the win over Nick Jackson in 13 minutes and 45 seconds.
Fight of the night. I gotta call it. This was the fight of the night. I'm giving this between 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. We have seen various combinations of different people from both groups fight in recent weeks, but this was one of the better matches on a fundamental level. The shenanigans at ringside were kept to a minimum for most of the runtime of this bout, so the majority of the work to keep everyone entertained was being done by the two men in the ring, as how it should be. Tremberetto has looked great since returning recently, but Nick Jackson, relying on his high-flying offense, made him a little more memorable in this encounter. Overall, this was a strong effort that only suffered from one or two minor timing issues that most probably didn't notice. The crowd was certainly into it, judging from the "This is awesome" chant that we heard. So, and I'll tell you what, MF, I mean, I did some thinking as I was watching this match. I was doing some thinking, and I'm like, this Tremberetto has come a long way from his days in the WWE. When you remember, MF, I was not a fan of him and that tag team he was in with Kalen Croft as part of the Dude Busters, and because I went on the record with you back then by calling them, ham and egg or jabronis and all that good stuff. But oh no, he is certainly not one of those anymore. He has come such a long way, and what I saw tonight may have been his personal best in-ring work that I have ever seen. Very, very impressive. Hell of a match. Commentary was top notch on this, and is exactly how we would have been if we were doing commentary. We would have done the exact same thing they did with all the oohs and ahs and everything else that they did. Got me fired up. So great matchup here. 3.5, 3 3/4, fight of the night for me, no question about it. And MF, I'll probably go on to say, even though I'll say it like this. Maybe not, it wasn't a tag match or anything like that. But who he went up against, one of the Young Bucks, one of the best tag teams in professional wrestling. I could probably honestly consider this the biggest singles win of his career, all time.
Mm.
So, and he has come such a long way in the last 10, 11 years or so, since that horrible gimmick with Kalen Croft and the Dude Busters. Ugh. That was horrible stuff back then, but he has come such a long way from then. Thoroughly impressive. No doubt about it. So 3.5, 3 3/4. MF, what a match.
Yeah, like you said, 3.5, no doubt about it. Excellent work on everybody involved. And it was definitely, I'll openly admit it myself, fight of the night. You definitely nailed it, Anthony. So I got nothing more to add on that one. Next up after that, we did have yet another matchup here, as it was Hook versus Serpentico. Hook wins the match in a minute and 38. Again, another showcase fight for Hook. Hook is just now, he's starting to get on his own. he is definitely one of the most over guys in AEW, man.
Ridiculously over.
Oh
He's
my
ridiculously
God.
over, MF.
Like, I don't know what it is.
Get the meme gene back. Let's get the meme gene back, and let's make a. You remember ridiculously over Daniel Bryan? I think we need a ridiculously over Hook meme ASAP.
Yeah, it was unbelievable what was happening. And then after the match, he did what he had. He was choking him out, doing his version of the Taz mission, and QT Marshall is coming out trying to pick a fight with this youngster, and the dude just got suplexed down his dome, and Hulk just walked right over him like you ain't nothing. You're a piece of garbage. Like, oh my God, man. He is Taz's son. There is no possible way. And everybody's like, oh, but Taz is African American. No, he's not. No, he's not. So, I don't know what to say, man. Hook is he's amazing right now. And now we're off to the main event. Anna Jay versus Jade Cargill. TBS title on the line. And Jade Cargill wins the match in 8 minutes and 52 seconds. Still the TBS champion. And now 25-0 in AEW. Undefeated Jade Cargill. Solid match. Good main event. About three stars. Could have been better, but at the end of the day, it was solid to say the very least. Anthony Florio, this was a solid main event. There was a moment where I thought Anna Jay was going to pull off the upset, but Jay just too strong, and she closed the show the way she knows how. Domination.
Agreed. 3 stars. For months, Jade Cargill was having squash matches, but her past few encounters have all been 10 minutes or more, so she is finally getting to show us more of her skills. While she and Anna Jay are both still relatively new to this business, both women looked good in this match. Some of the kicks could have landed harder, but most of what they did was executed well. Cargill is getting more and more comfortable in the ring and on the mic. At this rate, she will be one of the biggest assets on any roster within the next 5 years. That's how I feel there. So, solid 3 stars for this first ever defense of the TBS championship. Only the second TBS title match all time, if you count that tournament final with her and Ruby Soho on that debut Dynamite on TBS. So there you have it. 3 stars for me. As far as what we saw tonight in the overall review here, I mean, with the exception of the Hook match, because the Hook match was maybe 1 star at best, maybe even a dud to 1. The other 3 matches were all solid to good to great. Beretta and Jackson was the fight of the night, no question about that. Second best would probably go to Moxley and Page, and then the main event, a solid affair. So, and then the delicious squash by Hook. So, I would probably give this in excess of maybe 7.5. And this is why I would like to see more live rampages. I mean, when we get live rampages, usually the effort is better, and the match and the presentation comes out that much better than a tape show does. But I got a feeling it'll probably be back to reality with a tape show. But whenever we get one of these live shows, appreciate it, because you never know when we're going to get another one. I don't know when the next one is. I'm sure there's going to be another one, but we'll have to wait and see when that is. But that's it for me. 7.5, and MF. More live rampages. That's what I'm hoping for in the future. So take it home.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we are done for the night. On Monday night, we start Royal Rumble week with Ridiculously Raw at 11 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday Night Mayhem. Of course, Thursday will be our conference championship preview. And then 1 week from tonight, we do it all over again with SmackDown Live, with AEW Rampage, and the preview of the Royal Rumble. So with that said, have a good night, everybody, and we will see you on Monday night.
Goodbye.